Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is right here, everyone. Thanks for joining me yet again. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Monday. By the way, quick plug. Tonight, Mondays with Mike and Mark is going to be Mondays with Mike because Mark's got some plans, some pre-scheduled plans. So 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on this channel, we'll get the party started from 7 to 7:30. Then we're going to redirect to Mike's channel from 7:30 until 8 o'clock. Going to be kind of an abbreviated Mondays with Mike and Mark this evening. Okay, so usually I start out by saying who done messed up. Now, perhaps I done messed up by doing a video where we're going to touch on some politics stuff. I guess we'll see. No matter what context, anything political comes up, it's usually a mistake. But and I have a rule on my channel: no politics. Unless you've got a political channel where that's how you've grown your subscriber base and that's what you do, it's generally a mistake to talk about anything on politics on the internet. Unless that's your thing. And it's not my thing. That's not why you come to my channel. That's not why you watch my videos. So what the hell are we talking about today? Well, let me show you a little something. I'm doing a video about a blog post Mike Rinder did today. Actually, I prefer this view, called Scientology, Psychiatry, and Politics. And so let me see. I'll switch the view here real quick. This is not going to be a partisan video, so don't click off the video, right now. Anyway, I guess I'm pre-apologizing for even saying the word politics, but I shouldn't really have to, guys. Let's just take a look at this because I think it is educational, important, and interesting to understand what Scientology's view is of politics and why. Anyway, let's just jump into this, guys. Okay, Scientology, psychiatry, and politics, because it really does come down to psychiatry. That is sort of the biggest piece in this puzzle. Generally speaking, Scientologists don't particularly care about politics. L. Ron Hubbard didn't talk much about politics. David Miscavige doesn't talk about politics. My whole time in Scientology, I'll change the view here for a quick sec. My whole time in Scientology on staff and in the Sea Org, politics was not a thing that was discussed. Politics is so low on the totem pole of what Scientologists care about. If you really get like what Scientologists think about existence, why we're even on this planet, the role this planet even plays in the matrix, politics is so far down the totem pole. Nobody gives a damn, except for some particular circumstances. So let's talk about this. Mike says, I've written a few pieces here about the general inclination of Scientologists to vote Republican. Uh-oh. Sounds like we're getting partisan. Don't worry, guys. We're not. Hubbard's disdain for government and welfare are important reasons why Scientologists tend not to be liberal Democrats. Okay, so let's take a look at that one more time. Hubbard's disdain for government and welfare are important reasons why Scientologists tend not to be liberal Democrats. That's true. I mean, I agree with that statement. That is a true and fair and accurate statement, regardless of what you think about either political parties. But the biggest reason has to do with psychiatry. In this, Scientologists are single issue voters, and virtually every one of them would never vote for a Democratic administration. Okay, let me switch views real quick. So it is impossible to overstate Scientologists' hatred for psychiatry, psychology, and any form of mental health, mental treatment, mental therapy, other than Scientology and Dianetics. Scientologists, despite talking about Scientology and pretending like, oh, it's a religion, it's a religion, it's a religion, Scientologists see Dianetics and Scientology as, first, a mental therapy. They say spiritual therapy because you have to say spiritual therapy. And, Scientologists do believe in the immortal spiritual being. They call it a thetan. And they believe that thetans have minds and all this kind of stuff. But they do see that anything that's wrong with you mentally is something that can and should be fixed with Dianetics and Scientology and nothing else. Even if they go and vitamins and diet and exercise, they still lump that into the bucket of like Scientology, because L. Ron Hubbard said that you can use diet and exercise and whatever, going outside, getting some space as a form of mental improvement. Okay, back to the issue at hand here. The biggest issue has to do with psychiatry. In this, Scientologists are single issue voters, and virtually every one of them would never vote for a Democratic administration. Okay, I just reminded myself what I really meant to say there. Sorry, guys. I started out by saying it's impossible to overstate Scientologists' hatred for psychiatry. Therefore, they violently oppose any political measures that would expand access to mental health care, i.e., psychiatric care, psychological care. Scientologists do tend to lump any mental health care into the field of like psychiatry. Scientologists aren't exactly deep thinkers when it comes to this kind of stuff. Scientologists don't even necessarily differentiate between a licensed mental health counselor and a psychiatrist, because a Scientologist would view a licensed mental health counselor as just being psychiatry light or trailer park discount, dollar store psychiatry. I'm just describing these things as a Scientologist would think about them. So if it's impossible to overstate Scientologists' hatred for psychiatry, it's impossible to overstate their opposition to anything that would expand access to mental health care, and almost all initiatives that would expand access to any health care do, under that umbrella, expand access to mental health care. And I think it's fair to say that most Democratic administrations have policy platforms that include expanding access to healthcare, i.e. mental health care, i.e. why a Scientologist would almost always be unlikely to vote for a Democratic administration. I know that's what Mike's saying here. I'm just kind of providing some additional context, some additional framing for it. Okay, Mike goes, Scientology's oldest and most dedicated social reform group, Citizens Commission on Human Rights, has recently made clear to all Scientologists that the current president and his administration are committing heinous crimes by wanting to expand mental health care. The rhetoric is colorful, as is the way of CCHR, who claim they are obliterating, destroying, annihilating psychiatry. Nowhere else does Scientology take such clear political positions, urging their people to contact their federal representatives to protest this travesty. Okay, well, let's see what Scientology is sending out to all of its members. How wrong can the White House be? In February 2023, the White House released a report called the White House Report on Mental Health Research Priorities. How wrong did they get it? In March 2022, President Biden announced a strategy to transform how we understand access and treat mental health in America as part of his unity agenda, quoting stats from the mental health industry, claiming a mental health crisis that does not exist. The strategy includes, 1, dramatically expanding the mental health workforce by investing hundreds of millions of dollars in mental health training programs. The horror! 2, hundreds of millions of dollars more allocated to help burnout in mental health workers. 3, launching the 988 suicide hotline, ignoring, of course, the violence and suicide, which can be attributed to psychiatric drugs. 4, more millions of dollars allocated for the new community behavioral health centers, which have already been proven to be a colossal failure. All right, well, we're not going to go through all these. Basically, anything that's a part of this program is something that Scientology is going to oppose, because they oppose anything of this. It doesn't even matter what the details of this program are. Whatever it is, they're going to oppose it. Okay. It goes on and on with many more millions of dollars for additional mental health programs. The latest report in February 2023 goes into, oh, this is still Scientology stuff. Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay, moving on. They hate it. CCHR International, the mental health industry watchdog, put people over profit, take action against abuse. Guys, did any of you see the video that was making its rounds on Twitter? I actually did a video about the video. I'll even post a link to it in the description, of a CCHR staff member standing outside of their office building on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, hosing down homeless people, putting people over profit. I guess just not all people, not homeless people, right? Okay. It's also interesting. Okay, we're back to Mike's. This is Mike's blog post now. It's also interesting to see them lobby for effective, non-psychiatric, non-drug alternatives. Of course, Scientology forbids psych cases from participating in Scientology at all. This is kind of interesting. In Scientology, they have something what's called an illegal pre-clear, an illegal PC. Now, in Scientology, a PC, pre-clear, is the term for anyone receiving Scientology auditing. A PC, a pre-clear. It's one of the most common words in Scientology. An illegal PC is someone who Scientology says is ineligible to receive any Scientology auditing in this lifetime. And one of the main things that makes you an illegal PC is having been under psychiatric care prior to getting into Scientology. Particularly if while under the care or under, if you were seeing a psych, if they prescribed you any kind of medication that you were on for, a period of a few months or more, Scientology will literally tell you you're not allowed to get any auditing ever. There's like some exceptions. You can submit a special request called a petition to get like certain auditing actions. And, these days they'd probably approve just about anybody. But it's one of the reasons Scientologists are actually so opposed to psychiatric medication is because people who take it are not eligible to do Scientology. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Perhaps they advocate the Hubbard solution from Science of Survival, which is quarantining them, like the example that he offers of the Venezuelan dictator who solved leprosy in his country by realizing that most lepers were beggars. So he rounded up all the beggars and destroyed them. This is literally an example that L. Ron Hubbard used of a proper way to manage a society. By the way, this is also what, switching views again, that is also the same solution that L. Ron Hubbard said in his book, Science of Survival, would be a positive solution to, can I say these words? I'm not sure if I can. People who are attracted to members of the same gender. Hubbard puts these people on the tone scale at 1.1, covert hostility. And Hubbard said that rounding up everybody in society who was at 1.1 on the tone scale and essentially destroying all of them would improve the emotional tone of society. And that if it wasn't so frowned upon, it would be a viable option. I swear to God, I'm paraphrasing it from exactly how L. Ron Hubbard said it, but I'm not taking much liberty with my paraphrasing. Okay. You also have to love their motto, put people over profit, take action against abuse. You would hope they would take this to heart with respect to Scientology. Oh my God. The irony of Scientology saying, put people over profit. I mean, if there's one tagline that would accurately describe all of Scientology, it's putting profit over people. But what do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. Oh, wait, the cult was Scientology, so maybe I do know a little something about it. Okay, so what do you think, guys? Was that a pretty effective way to talk about politics on this channel without really talking about politics on this channel? Was that really so bad? Okay, let me see. I will take a moment to scroll through and see if there's any comments. I do have a few live streams that I want to do today, even in addition to the Mondays with Mike and Mark segment. So that's why I'm deciding to do them live so I can actually get to all of them. It would take me way too long if I tried to edit and upload the videos. Okay, let's see. Here's one comment here from Scarlett Begonias. Would Church of Scientology turn away Musk if he saw a psychiatrist? So if you're saying if Elon Musk has a history of seeing a psychiatrist and he wanted to get into Scientology, would they make an exception for him? I could make an argument for why they would. I could make an argument for why they wouldn't. I think they honestly, it's a toss of the coin on that one. I really could argue it both ways. I'm not sure which way they would go. Elon Musk would be a pretty big get for them. So it depends on how long he saw anybody. We're not just talking about Elon Musk. It depends on how long he was seeing the therapist. It would also depend on what medications he was taking, if any, and how long the medications were taken. These things are largely subjective when it comes to drawing the line on what makes you an illegal PC and what doesn't. And these days, they're just so desperate for members and money that if I had to bet one way or the other one on this one, I think they would lean in the direction of being like, oh, Elon, you can get all the auditing you want. Your money's good here, man. That's probably the way they would go. Thank you for the question. All right, everybody. Well, that's all we got on this. No need to drag this out any longer than it absolutely has to be. There's much more to come today. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And actually, let me one more plug since I am using Mike's material here. Check it out, guys. Mike's got that book, A Billion Years. It's a fantastic book. You can get it anywhere books are sold. And if you want to get a special autographed version of Mike's book, go to his blog and click on this little link here that says order an autographed copy. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks to everybody who watches until the very end. And I'll talk to you very soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right